If you have any questions about the post-assessment, the makeup, the schedule, or attendance, I will be flexible with attendance because I know this is a busy month. Crazy, right? Crazy. It's almost time to graduate. Countdown. But I need to have students. I need you to come here to the meeting, and we still need to work. That's how it's. That's how it works. Well, if we don't have any particular questions, let's move along. Let's go ahead and check this review from yesterday. And we are reviewing yesterday the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, this is the Pythagorean theorem, and is applied to right triangles. And this is a right triangle that we will use the Pythagorean theorem to find some information, some data that's missing. And what's missing here on this triangle? We have the hypotenuse, the longest side, is equals to 13. We have one of the legs, equals 12. But one of the other leg is missing. We need to find one of the legs, right? So we can apply the Pythagorean theorem. The only thing you have to change a little bit, we're going to isolate A and apply square root on both sides of the formula. Then we have this as a result, is a formula for A. Just plug in the numbers, and we need to calculate, we need to find A. So plug in here C is 13. 13 squared minus, plug in B is 12, minus 12 squared, square root of this whole thing, and then you have square root of 169 minus 144. This is missing something, there's a blank, and I want you to tell me what is the answer, what's the result for A. Can you find out? Can you figure it out? Send me a message. I will invite a couple of students to help me, okay? Yes, makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Drayden. If you subtract 169 minus 144, this is going to be 25. And now you have to find the square root of 25, and square root of 25 is 5. 5 is the right answer. Excellent. Thank you, Kimani. Thank you, Joelian. Perfect. Very good. And Pythagoras is happy. You know how to apply his formula. And now let's check another application of the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, it's about to calculate the distance between 2 points in the XY plane. This is a formula, another formula that we will learn how to use, but it's a formula that is calculated. It was found by applying Pythagorean theorem to this problem. And let's check how it works. A quick, this is the distance formula. D equals square root, parentheses, x squared minus x1 squared plus y squared minus y1 squared. We're going to use the coordinates of the point 1 and coordinates of the point 2. But wait a minute, I think we can prove this is right. We just, we can believe this formula is right, we can accept this is the formula we need, but actually by applying the Pythagorean theorem, we can prove this is right, this is correct, this is a good formula. Let's have a look, just by curiosity, okay? You don't need to memorize or remember any of this. It's just to understand how someone in the past, maybe a mathematician, found out the formula of the distance. Check this out. We have x and we have y, right? The plane x, the axis. x, and the x is y, and this whole screen here is the xy plane. And we're going to have the point 1, this is point 1, we have point 2, and we want to find this distance between point 1 and 2. The important data to solve this problem are the coordinates of point 1 and point 2. So point 1, coordinate x is here, x1, and coordinate y is right here, y1. About point 2, we have x coordinates here, x2, and y coordinate over there, y2, right? We can apply the Pythagorean theorem, so we need to find a right triangle, and this is going to be our right triangle. See, this is 90 degrees angle, and opposite to the 90-degree angle we have the hypotenuse, the longest side, which is D, and the legs are the adjacent sides. Let's say the formula is C equals the square root of A squared plus B squared, right? This formula we can find from the Pythagorean theorem. And we can make C equals to D. And what about A and B? We actually can find A by subtracting x2 minus x1. This is going to be equals to A. And we can find B, this side, by subtracting y2 minus y1. And we can say this is equals to B. Right? So we have for C, A, and B, applying the Pythagorean theorem, distance equals the square root A squared. A squared is x2 minus x1 squared plus B squared, y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, this whole thing, square root, and that's right, this is the distance formula. We just proved it. We found the distance formula, calculated it by applying the Pythagorean theorem. Make sense? Don't need to memorize this, you just need to understand that this is how we calculate or we find the distance between 2 points by applying Pythagorean theorem. Now write down this formula in your formula sheet or in a piece of paper, and we can apply the same the same formula for each question of the quiz. Moving to the next, let me show just an example. And here you see, right, the distance formula. Let's apply to this example. Find the distance between points. And point 1 is going to be x equals -2, y equals 3. Point 2 is x equals 4, y equals -1, right? How to solve it? First, let's write down here x1 equals -2, and y1 equals 3. Now let's write on the next point we have x2 equals 4, and y2 equals to what? -1. Okay, so we have x1, y1, x2, and y2. Now bring the formula. D equals square root. And the first thing we have on the formula, x2. x2 equals 4. Minus what? Minus x1. And x1 equals -2. Be careful with the sign. Right? This whole thing is squared. Plus. Next thing we have here, y2. y2 is -1. And then y1 minus 3. This is squared, and that's it. This is the answer. Just need to type this expression here in your calculator. Let's simplify just a little bit more so it makes it easier to type this on the calculator, okay? Because we have negative with negative is positive, right? So square root of 4 plus 2 squared, and we have negative 1 minus 3 squared. Bring the calculator. We're going to use the calculator a lot today. Parentheses 4 plus 2 plus the parentheses squared. Plus parentheses again, 1 negative, oops. Let me clear this up. Okay. 1 negative minus 3 squared, and check if everything is right. It looks perfect, and that is equals to 52. Now find the square root of the whole thing. Square root of 52, 7.21 is the right answer. Round to the, on the quiz you have to round to the 2 decimal places, 7.21. Any questions? I think we are ready to move on and practice on the quiz. That's the same thing we will do in the quiz. Have to apply the same formula, check the coordinates, be careful with the sign, and type everything on the calculator to find the final answer. Any questions? I think we are ready to move and go to the practice round, to the quiz. But before, I need you to answer the bell work. Send me a guess, send me your message. Well, G ran from A to B 5 straight paths. And we want to calculate if he could fly, if he could go across the buildings or over the buildings. We want to calculate this straight path, what is going to be the distance. To apply the Pythagorean theorem, we need a right triangle. So, hello Madi, good morning. No problem, no problem. Well, welcome back. Good morning. We are working on the bell work right now. Well, we need to find the right triangle, and maybe we can use this one. Maybe you can find another one, or maybe a couple of triangles, but I'm gonna use this one. This is a right triangle, and we can say this is C, the distance between A and B is the hypotenuse, and
good morning, sir.
Good morning, Maggie, welcome. This is A, one of the legs, and this is the other leg, right? So let's find out C. The Pythagorean theorem says we can calculate C as equals to square root of A squared plus B squared, right? This green path, each line is 100 yards. So if we think about A, we're going to have 100 yards here, another 100 yards, and another 100 yards, a total of 300 yards. Think about B now. B, we have this is going to be 100 and another 100, 200 yards in total. 300. Square root of 300 yards, A squared, plus 200 yards is B squared, right? Type this in your calculator and you're gonna find C equals 360.56. The question asks you to round to the nearest yards. So the right answer is 361 yards. This is the right answer, 361. Type here 361. And we have a few. Now let's work on the quiz. Okay? Use the distance formula to find the distance between the 2 points. round to 2 decimal places if necessary. Let me show letter A. Letter A is going to be the same thing. You will apply, you're going to work on all the questions. And we have, the formula is, let me write down again the formula. Distance equals square root of x2 minus x1, x1 plus distance, sorry, let me zoom a little bit more, it's going to be better. Distance equals square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, this is the formula we will apply to all the questions on the quiz today. On letter A, D equals square root x2, and let's find out here, x1 is -2, y1 is 7, x2 is 4, y2 is -5. Okay, so x2 4 minus x1 -2 plus, and this is squared, plus y2 -5 minus y1 7 squared. Okay, equals, and look this we have negative, and negative is a positive, right? So be careful when you have this situation, and this is when usually you make a mistake. We will simplify before using the calculator. For negative with negative, positive, plus 2 squared plus -5 minus 7 squared. Now let's use the calculator to find the answer. Parentheses, 4 plus 2, close the parentheses, squared, plus, parentheses again, 5 negative minus 7, close the parentheses, squared, and the total of this is 180, equals 180. Press the button of the square root, and you're going to find the final answer, 13.42. 13.42 is the final answer for letter A. Okay. Let's work on letter B. The formula is the same. Let me repeat again the formula so we can remember. D equals the square root of x squared minus x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And this whole thing square root. Okay, that's the formula. The distance equals the square root, and we have to say this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2, right? So x2 -2 minus x1 minus 1 squared plus y2 4 minus y1 10 squared. We don't have two negatives to make a mess, to make a mistake. So let's type this on the calculator. I think we can find on the calculator. So parentheses 2 negative minus 1, close the parentheses, squared, plus parentheses 4 minus 10, close the parentheses, squared. And the total is 45. This is equal to 45. Now square root of 45, 6.708. So we're going to round 6.71. Okay, letter C. Let's work here on letter C. the formula is the same, so distance equals square root of x1, y1, x2, y2. x2, negative 3, minus x1, 0, squared, plus y2, 8, minus y1, 5, squared, and the whole thing is square root. Bring the calculator, parentheses, 3, negative, minus 0, close the parentheses, square root, square, plus, parentheses, 8 minus 5, close the parentheses, squared. This is equals to 18, and the square root of 18 is 4.24. The answer here is 4.24. Cool? Letter C, and now you're asking about letter D. Let's move to letter D. Formula is the same, so D equals, you just need to identify x1, y1, x2, and y2. So D equals the square root of x2, 3 minus x1, 6 squared, plus y2, 2 minus y1, 7 square root. Type on the calculator this expression, parentheses 3 minus 6, close the parentheses, squared, plus parentheses 2 minus 7, close the parentheses, squared. This is equals 34, and the square root of 34, 5.83. 5.83.